All right, so the guys who know it all, and they are dressed nice. Look at you, gentlemen. Thank you.
We clean up.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Of course, we were laughing early, I have to say. You know, one of the highlights of our life, we were doing a charity event at Harkins Theater. But it was a 24-hour thing, so yeah, I was wearing my pajamas.
You were wearing your, and then here
count.
you're giving these kids a bad time for wearing pajamas. Last time I saw you at the theater, you were in
I was
your
in pajamas.
PJs.
Go figure. Okay, but it suited the occasion.
That's correct.
Anyway.
We did that 2 different times.
Oh yeah, I think they had it for
the
years,
mayor
half a
of
dozen
Prescott
years.
Valley. I was Mayor of Prescott.
Yeah, it was a great event. Well, anyway, yes, ex-mayor of Prescott. Yes, you've had a great history in politics. And Phil Bourdon, we'll introduce you guys in case people don't know you by face, Yavapai County Administrator. Great to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
And Rowle Simmons, and you are now the chairman of the Yavapai
Correct.
County Board
we
of
rotate.
Supervisors.
That's correct.
Yeah, so you have like the full weight on your shoulders. Yeah.
Leadership.
Well, there's always things going on. Obviously, you guys are tasked with keeping the city and the county. Well, the county, you're over the city, really, keeping things going smoothly and making this a great place to live. So we have a tax that's coming up that we've had before, but it's coming up for a vote. Is it in March, or are you delaying it? Or?
Well, it originally has been set for March, March 13th. The board is meeting tomorrow to discuss and ultimately will act, I think, to just move it back 60 days. Okay. And that's just to clarify some technical issues on the ballot and also to give additional time for us to do outreach.
Right, so it would be probably more like May.
It'll be May 15th,
well,
and it's an all-mail-in ballot election.
Oh, I love these things. It's got to save us a lot of money and certainly time and effort when we can just do our ballots at home and send them in instead of having to go to a polling place. And
saves the taxpayers a lot of money.
I know. I think that's great, which we always love as taxpayers. We love this.
I want to have one little caution on
Yes.
it. So don't be amongst the people who look at it and say, well, I'll do it tomorrow.
Oh.
And let it sit, and then all of a sudden the time passes and they forgot to vote. So
Yeah.
that's really, we need the people to vote.
That's true, but they forget to go in the polls sometimes.
Well,
too.
that's true.
It's like, what? That was yesterday. But no, that's a very good thing, because most of us, we kind of, you know, we study the issues. We're pretty much ready to go, I think, when the ballots arrive. So this is the Yavapai County Jail tax that's coming up. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so the jail district is a secondary district. It's a special district, and it was set up by the Board of Supervisors for one purpose: to fund the jail operations and maintenance of the jail system in Yavapai County. And when the board did that back in 1999, they put in front of the voters the quarter-cent sales tax to fund the jail system. So what that did is enabled sales tax to fund a majority, about half, of the jail system instead of property taxes. And that was the voters, about 70% approved it back in 1999. It's been in place since then, and it sunsets in June of 2020. And so the board has recently engaged trying to just extend that existing sales tax an additional 20 years.
I'm sorry, but 2020 sounds a long ways away, you know? It's 2 years away.
It's a good point. The reason the board would like to look at that, as well as my recommendation to them, is because if it is not passed, this is an $8.8 million annual funding for the jail system, and the board would need at least 2 years of budget to start discussing how they would fill in that in their budget. Okay,
well, and again, this started in 1999, and it's a quarter percent. It goes on our city county sales tax.
County sales tax.
Okay, all right. So we didn't have it before because it was on property taxes, right?
Correct.
Interesting. So anytime I think you can free up property taxes, which is nice. I think some of our cities don't even have property tax, which there's some interesting things about that. Because I always figure, gosh, you don't actually own your house. Think about it. It's like renting a dress. If you don't pay on it a little bit, you're going to lose it, you know. So in some ways, I think maybe other kinds of funding is a little better.
Well, and the other nice thing about Sandy with the sales tax is a good percentage of that is paid by out-of-towners. So you have a lot of people who are utilizing the services, the roads, and everything else, and they're participating when they make purchases, and they don't even
sales taxes, whatever. So yeah, it is more of a use kind of a base thing, which I think is great. It seems like it would generate easily better revenue anyway from that point of view. Okay, so what's it all about? Why, you know, I mean, obviously we have to have a jail. Now, we don't actually have a jail in our town like it used to be, per se, right?
Correct. What you have right now is a main facility in Camp Verde, and the Prescott Gurley Street facility is used as a holding facility so that people in this area, in the Prescott Valley, Quad City area, law enforcement, are able to take people they have arrested and can take them to the Gurley Street facility. That's a holding area for booking, and then eventually they're placed in the Camp Verde jail.
And they take a bus, they pick them up, they transfer them.
And the
to
booking
Verde Valley.
facility also serves as a holding facility for people that are going to be in court in the Prescott court during that day.
Oh, so then they bring them from Verde Valley to
Yes.
our Gurley Street facility.
And
for that.
the extension of this tax is purely meant to maintain the existing facilities that are in place today.
Okay, now that's an interesting thing because, you know, we've been here for a while. How long you been here, Phil?
22 years.
See? Okay, I'm on 24. Rowley, you've been
40.
40? All right, you get the seniority on
Yeah.
this one. But anyway, you look back, and I know we had our entire jail system for a while there on Gurley Street. But I know that I remember speaking with Sheriff Steve Wan. He just said, we don't have enough funding to keep it all here. I forget what his budget was, $2 million. I don't know, maybe I'm way off on
I
that.
was
don't
here when the
remember.
entire jail system was at the courthouse, which was real small and
Oh
old.
my God! Well, we didn't have as much crime then. We didn't have
That's
much
right.
as many people. I mean, that's our population is, you know, more than it was 40 years ago too. So then they built the new facility. It was great, but I know there were also some updates. Is that right? To make it a full-time jail? Or?
It currently houses approximately 600 prison inmates. And it is it's full capacity right now. It fluctuates up and down. We've done a lot. The criminal justice system, the sheriff, the courts, probation have done a lot of work over the years to make sure people are not in jail. So they've kept the population at bay in the jail. But it is our main jail in the Camp Verde area.
Oh, okay. Yes, and so that's really big. And then just the small one here. So financially, that's still, you think, the best, because obviously at Verde Valley, it's going to be all kinds of inmates from all over rather than just like our Prescott, Chino Valley, our Quad City area's jail, right?
For right now, it serves the purposes we need in Yavapai County, and that's why we're asking for the existing sales tax to be extended. You know, again, this is not a tax increase, it's status quo. Anytime we come and need to ask the public for additional funding, we'll have to come back to them in the future. But this is for the existing jail system, and it's the existing quarter cent.
Right. So if we made that, if we redid the updates and we made it back into our old full-time jail, that would cost us a lot more probably to retrofit the jail and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, and there's been a jail study in the last 2 years. It was 2 years ago, and it makes some recommendations for the future, some improvements that might be made. But at that time, the board will decide if they need to move forward along with recommendations from the sheriff, and at that time, they'll have to decide how they fund that.
So if we vote in this new 20-year extension, so it would go to 2040. If in the middle of that they decided it would be more fiscally responsible or handier or better, because I know transporting back and forth is a little, you know, that I know at one point they were saying, gosh, we don't like to do that. We'd rather have our jail here. That would cost us probably more tax.
Yes, if they indeed wanted to do that, if they needed additional facilities, they would have to come back to the public. The public, when voting this in, it would be the exact amount it is right now. If in the future they need additional money, they can come back to the public or look for other methods to fund it.
Okay, fascinating. Well, okay, and so a couple of months coming up in May looks to me like that's important. What if for some weird reason people didn't vote this in? You said we'd have to come up with 8.8 million?
Correct. And part of the problem that people really need to be aware of is that right now the municipalities are not having to pay. And if this fails, a burden is going to fall upon the municipalities in addition to stress on the county. So it's going to be across the board, and it really will be a rough situation and a major challenge.
Of course,
So-
again, they would just have to levy like a proportional tax to,
Well,
to
look at
try
the
and
city
get
of
it as
Prescott.
we go along.
Sure.
Because 8.8 would be the whole 20-year stretch of money raised. right?
Well, that's an annual amount. What Supervisor Simmons is referring
8.8 million is annually
That
is
comes in from
correct.
that?
Yeah, let me, just a picture right now is our jail district's budget is 18 million a year. Okay, so 18 million a year, and a majority of that cost, 2/3 of that cost is for people, because detention officers. It is a operation that runs year-round, 24 hours a day, and so that is an $18 million operation, and $8.8 million of it, almost 50% almost, comes from that sales tax. And so as what Supervisor Simmons was mentioning is, when the voters back in 1999 voted this in, prior to that, cities and towns had to pay the county, reimburse them for when they brought inmates in and they were under municipal charges. And so for 20 years, they have had that relief and have not had to budget for that cost. That's part of when you do a jail district. When you vote it in, it no longer transfers back into the municipalities, because you're getting the sales tax from people in the municipalities. And
As a part of a county resident.
yeah, and what Supervisor Simmons was mentioning is one of the things we're trying to communicate to people within cities and towns is that will have an impact on your city or town budget if the jail tax goes away.
Well, I don't, I guess it's like, is there a better alternative? At this point, it looks like we're settled in with this. It's not a bad levy. So, I mean, the options aren't that tempting.
We're really proud of the fact, Sandy, that Yavapai County has been stated to be the #1 fiscally responsible, best-run county in the state of Arizona. So out of the 15 counties, we are the #1. So that tells you a lot, right?
You go. Thank you. Sure. Thank you, gentlemen. Phil Bourdon, our Yavapai County Administrator and also Chairman of the Yavapai County Board of Supervisors. I got it. Rowle Simmons. Thanks for joining us, gentlemen.